Right, welcome back everyone. So I've just set off on the Triumph Speed 400. We're going to head out to Benetham again, see how far I get. So thanks Triumph Algarve for giving me a little bit of a test ride on the motorcycle. Really appreciate that. But here we go. And immediately it feels way smaller and more nimble than the BSA. I've got big wide bars, so it kind of feels like a big bike. Well, it's got the proportions of a big bike, but like I put the slightest steering input in, and the front sort of goes with it. I mean, maybe that is a 17-inch wheel and it's got road tyres. BSA is bigger and heavier, and it's got an 18 on the front. It's amazingly nimble, this little bike, I'll give it that. Like, it only weighs 170 kg, and you can definitely tell when you're out on it. It's ridiculously light and easy to sort of pilot around. I think if you were someone who didn't like heavy bikes for whatever reason, and you wanted a more lightweight experience, this is definitely it. Slow speed, very manageable. Third gear pull. Got to get up to about 7,000 and then it starts to take off. Watch this speed bump. Whoa! If you're not in the right gear, however, there is a lag between throttle input and the bike going anywhere. That's just indicating go up the hill towards Benetham again. Oh, rear brake stronger than the BSA. I've got to admit that. There you go, third gear. Yeah, it has got some pull in third. Go around this car. I mean, plenty of overtaking performance. So if you were comparing this to the Royal Enfields, it's night and day. I mean, the engine doesn't have the character of the Royal Enfield 350s either, to be fair. This is a high compression ratio, 12.1 to 1, whereas the Enfields are really, they're a long stroke kind of thumper style of engine. And this is more of a buzzy unit, but the reward is you get a lot of power and you get good top end for the 399cc's. There's a huge amount of buzz, not with the bike, I mean in the UK, about these motorcycles. People are buying them left, right and centre. You know, they must be doing about 200 units a month of each, so they're extremely popular. You can't easily get hold of them, and that's mainly to do with the fact they've got a Triumph badge on the tank, and they're retailing at £499 in sterling, £4,999, and over here they're €5,600. I think they're even cheaper over here if you do the comparison. Wow, man, the brakes are good. Some bite there, especially with the front. Probably about the same as the BSA up front, but obviously it's so much lighter. It doesn't struggle to pull itself to a stop at all. And the rear, again, probably the same braking power as the BSA, but because the bike's so light, it doesn't require any, yeah, look how strong that rear brake is. Oh, she went across the road. So obviously the thing you want to look out for with these bikes, because they are made by Bajaj in India, is the overall fit and finish. And to be honest, I'll show you a walk around later on, but everything looks really good. Really nice. I mean, I'm surprised actually by the niceness of the dash, because people commented in the early reviews, oh, the dash is outdated or whatever. Yeah, okay, it's not TFT, but it looks really, really nice. And you've got quite a lot of information in there. I'd say the revs are a little bit small. It's quite hard to see what revs you're on, if that's important to you. Gear indicator, I know some people say it's daft to have a gear indicator, but I personally find it quite useful. And then you've got an information button which will allow you to cycle through trip 1, trip 2, the litres per kilometre you're using, which at the moment is absolutely nothing. 2.3, 2.2, if I put some throttle input, yeah, 2.8 seems to be where it seems to stabilise out. And then you've got an average there of the fuel consumption, and then that's your range to empty. So it's pretty special. The mirrors are good, really good. And if I press on, they maintain vibration free up until about 8,000 RPM. That's better than the BSA, to be honest. And bar end mirrors look great. Stylistically, they're way nicer. Switch gear is also pretty kind of like basic but clean. It's plastic, but it's just got an air of quality about it. I don't think it quite pips Royal Enfield's alloy switch gear. That's kind of setting the bar in the sort of cheaper end of the market. But for this is better than the BSA, marginally better anyway. And then your brake levers are quite kind of plain really, they're non-adjustable, quite simple items. There's hardly any vibration when you're riding this bike at normal speeds. I mean, look at me go now for this little set of bends. And then it's got that lovely kind of hum underneath you. It doesn't thump at all, so it's a totally different engine and character to Royal Enfield and BSA. But then the bike is totally different in style as well, so the engine kind of suits the bike. It's more of a kind of nouveau retro, whatever the hell that means. Triumph calls it a nouveau retro, but a modern take on a retro style. I tell you what, it does seem to love the corners. And then we'll need to brake here. Oops, shouldn't cross the centre line. Suspension's really nice as well. Whenever I go over a bump, it's probably got a progressive spring in the front, so the initial bang is very well handled by the spring in there. You've got gold upside down forks. I know Mr. Darcy doesn't favour those on bikes, but I think because this bike isn't an out and out classic design, it can get away with it because it's got those modern touches like the LCD. It's got spoked wheels, it's got a 17-inch front. It's, you know, these little things that make it not a pure retro roadster, then it can get away with gold forks, and I think they look good because they're quite chunky. Non-adjustable of course, but so you've got to get up to 7,000 for it to pull, but I'm in 5th. I'm asking quite a lot of it. I'm getting no vibration up here, okay, a little bit, but I'm doing 120 kph. And into sec for your overdrive. Probably getting loads of wind noise now, but so there I was using all 40 horsepower and didn't seem to bat an eyelid, did it? This road is just absolutely perfect for testing this bike out. It's so smooth as well, the engine. I really like that about it. To have such a smooth lump underneath you. It feels way more refined than both the BSA and Royal Enfield. I think if you want to buy this bike though, the kind of buyer who buys a BSA or Classic 350 or a Meteor 350 or an Interceptor, that doesn't really overlap with this kind of riding experience. just to be, you know, 100% honest about it. I think this is it's a more modern feeling and looking bike, and that's probably my takeaway from it. It's a brilliant little bike, and it offers incredible value for money, and that's what I really respect on this channel. Who the hell cares whether it's got cruise control or slipper clutch, as Bob said to me recently, because those things don't even come into it when we're at under £5,000 brand new price point. That's walk away. That's brand new bike delivered to your door, if you live close by and the dealer throws it in for you. But it's absolutely incredible value, and that's I think what I respect most about it, that they've been able to put something together that looks this nice and rides just really pleasantly. I mean, I'm particularly impressed with the suspension. Actually, it does highlight the shortcomings of the BSA suspension, but they've been able to put something this good together for that price, and yeah, I'm really impressed actually. And that initial kind of first few miles where I was a little bit ropey, the nimbleness of the front wheel, now I've begun to kind of get it, and I realised that was a transition off a 213 kilo big bike with a 650 and an 18-inch front wheel and dodgy tyres. that is the transition, getting up into these mountains now. But it's a brilliant little bike. I love the big speedo as well, big single speedo, because you'll never miss what speed you're doing, and to be honest that's more important than range and revs and what time it is, etc, etc. You don't want to get caught speeding. But it just flows around the bends. I mean, let's talk about the seat. It's pretty comfortable actually. I've got probably equivalent to the BSA seat, really nice and comfortable, and that means it's probably more comfortable than an Interceptor, probably more comfortable than the Royal Enfield 350s as well, if we're honest, because they're not all that comfortable. Right, there's no one behind me, so let's test the on-off throttle. Right, so closed. Yeah, a little snatch, look, see? I don't know if you registered that. Not awful. Not an awful snatchy throttle by any stretch of the imagination, probably kind of average. Yeah, not too bad at all there. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about comfort, yeah, seat's nice and comfortable. It is a wide seat, and that means this bike, despite it being entry-level weight, is actually not entry-level height. So I know we looked at this bike for Susie, but it's a little bit too tall for Susie, I think. She's on the tiptoes on this bike. I mean, Susie is petite. I'm almost said short then, but Susie is petite, so yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if you are a shorter rider and you're expecting this to be sort of the saviour for you, it's probably not as good, going to be as good as you're expecting. And of course the scrambler version of this bike is even taller. So we'll just do a loop around this roundabout at the top at Benefin, and then we'll head back down again. I'll tell you what, I'll do a turn in the road just so you can see the slow speed control. So yeah, turning circle, nice and sharp really, because it's got quite a steep brake. Sounds lovely as well, not too offensive. Yeah, I mean, you could have great fun on this bike. I can see why people are going mad for them. I think if you want a little accessible, fun bike that isn't going to sort of scare you every time you try and take it out of the garage with its massive bulk, then this bike's perfect for that. And how good is it to have affordable motorcycling at your fingertips again? You know, this harks back to the old days when bikes were affordable and people used them for everything. I mean, look at this road we got in front of us now. It is pretty special.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward.
Easy to find neutral. Side stands pretty good. Little things like that really go well in the review. Exhaust sounds nice. Right, so we finally got it. Succeeded this time round, second time lucky. We got out on the Speed 400 and I'm honestly really impressed. I'm not going to go through details and technical specs and all that. You can find that in loads of videos on the internet. It's just an amazing value bike, and that's the summary which I would take from this. There's 2 points, 2 main points. Is the value proposition is incredibly positive on this bike, and the second point is it's not really a classic bike. It's more of a, well, Triumph would say, nouveau classic, nouveau retro. It's got elements of retro, like the big round headlight and a rounded tank, single cylinder engine, that kind of thing. But the rest of it is positively modern. Like, you got gold upside down forks, you got big plastic indicators, 17s, a little bit of a modern design on the exhaust there. So really it's kind of horses for courses. If you want an affordable bike for a variety of uses, like commuting, doing small tours, going camping for the weekend, going for Sunday bimbles, and even a little bit of a back road blast, it's going to be an amazing bike for that. I feel it's got 90% of the quality that you expect from Triumph, because obviously they've translocated the little touches like the triangular logo there, a cylindrical subframe style that is on the bigger capacity Triumphs. They've put all those touches onto this, so it feels like a Triumph. It feels like you've got the whole quality shebang. If you were to dig deeply, yeah, you would find little areas that would suggest that this bike is under £5,000 and in sterling. But it's the same as the BSA. There's little things. In fact, overall, it's probably a little bit neater than the BSA down here on the rear foot peg hangers, that kind of thing. Let's just check the weight, actually. Yeah, I mean, if that's a concern to you, then this bike's going to be so nice. If you're somebody who just wants a bit more of an easier time with your motorcycle and still have the fun and freedom that riding brings, but you don't want the risk and weight, then this bike's going to be super. Like, look at my feet. I'm flat-footed there, but I'm actually quite straight. You can't see my feet, but they're flat-footed. I'm actually quite straight in the leg, and I'm 5'11". So it's not actually as small or short as it appears. Very light though. Gear change is nice. You've got 6 gears, really good. The engine is surprisingly smooth, actually. People say it's buzzy. I suspect it to be buzzy, but it actually feels refined, not buzzy. It feels like a quality, dare I say it, like a Japanese motor. It doesn't feel like a single. So if you want the feeling of a single, that's probably not the right bike for you. But if you want a small, economical, very, very affordable, easy to manage bike to do a variety of tasks with, this bike's for you, isn't it? Obviously there's other little Triumph touches, like you've got the lacquered over bad stickers on the tank. I can't think of any of the Triumph touches, to be honest. I'm just making this up as I go along. But it's a bloody lovely little bike. Really, really nice. Of course, you can accessorize the hell out of it as well. That's what people like to do. As I said in the start of this little section, it's more of an affordable modern bike with Triumph like kind of touches rather than the proper out and out classic. So something to consider. It's also very, very lightweight, or almost, which I know no one's ever complained about having a bike that's too light, but it's almost at the expense of stability. That's what I'd also say if I was to pull it apart a little bit. got the USB here as well, but overall it's bloody lovely. You just have to kind of pull at it to find things wrong with it, but I'm finding it very hard to find fault with it. Also, there's been no immobilizers or lights or untoward stuff happen when I've been riding it. So that's something that happened to the UK bikes. Out here seems to be fine. If you're on the fence about buying one of these, I wouldn't give you any reason to pause. I think it's a really nice little bike. Okay, right, back we go. Back down the hill. Let's put that in there. I tell you what is really nice, the centre stand. Oh, there's not a centre stand. The side stand, really easy to use. Sounds silly, but you can get your boot on it really easily. Boom. And it's got like quite a solid action. Nice tension under the spring. Little things like that should make day-to-day life with a bike a little bit nicer. There's the initialisation, so it's from the starter. Drop her into first. And we'll go for a really relaxed toddle home. Listen to that lovely engine note. Yeah, it's really nice. Really, really nice, to be fair. Lovely and refined. I love that about it. I really wonder how this compares to the Himalayan 450, which has got, what, about 15% more capacity and almost the same power, just in terms of engine character, really. Drop down. Gear indicator is a nice thing. I know some people think it's silly, but around we go. Yeah, I mean, it's the handling, just the ease that you can maneuver this bike that's really special about it. And I think Triumph done a really, really clever thing there, because obviously motorcyclists are getting older as a population, as a demographic, and a lot of people are getting rid of the big bikes. Yep, there's still some people who like the big Africa Twin, Tiger 1200, etc., GS. But manufacturers have noticed that people, as they get older, they want a lighter bike, and also it's nice to have a bike that doesn't cost 20 grand plus, because really, if something goes wrong with it, you know, it's not a huge drama and a huge bill. You can, if you drop this bike, it's not going to cost a fortune to fix bits and bobs on it. So they're really smart, and to get it in at 170 kilos wet, that's really impressive. So well done, Triumph. The ride as well, BSA, man, what have you done? Just riding this thing, it's so plush. Yeah, you just, oh, and the seat and everything, it's really, really cool. I guess if you're a new rider, we didn't talk about new riders, but this is a great bike for a new rider as well, because you haven't got mountains of torque, and I think that's a good thing, because people always think powerful bikes are bad for new riders. That's not actually true. You'd be better off having a new rider on a 600cc sport bike, because if they slip on the throttle, nothing happens. Whereas if you put them on a big GS or 1200, a slight throttle input and they fly off the back. Really impressed. I mean, if I was to pick holes, yeah, this wire here is a little bit awkward. But what's going to happen with these is they're going to all fly out the showrooms for 6 months, and then after 6 months some people are going to decide they don't like their bike for whatever reason. You'll be able to pick up a second-hand one. And what are they, 5 new? They'll probably add 300 on 9 months, 12 months down the line. So you'll probably be able to get it for 4.5 new. Sorry, 5.5 new, 4.5 from a dealer second-hand, with delivery, not delivery miles, demo miles on it, like 250 miles or whatever. And that'll be a good value proposition then. Longevity, nobody really knows. I've seen some pictures on the forum of bolts that are a little bit corroded, a little bit tarnished, but overall, the whole package, I mean, if you were concerned, just spray it with ACF 50. I guess who is this bike not for? It's not for anyone who wants to go any long distance touring. It's not if you want out and out speed, it's not for you. If you like the feel of a bigger bike, it's not for you, because it does feel quite petite. Also, if you're really short, it's not for you. So that's something else to consider. It's not actually a bike for people who are short of leg. I mean, my legs are straight when I'm flat-footed, so that's saying something, because I'm kind of average height, I'm not too weird willy tall, but I'm not short either. So fair play. It's a great little bike, and I'm very happy to have been allowed out on it. Very happy, thankful for Triumph for letting me have a little spin on it. The next bike I'll probably try will either be the Scrambler, or perhaps I'll do the Bonneville, just to see how a like-for-like comparison, a sort of lower, bigger, heavier bike, but from the top, the top of the tree manufacturer compared to the BSA, just to see how they trade blows, or if the Bonneville wipes the floor with the Gold Star, which it actually could. Alright guys, well, if you've got any questions on this little bike, and there again it just soaked up that bump like a treat, absolutely gorgeous ride compared to my bike. Yeah, if you've got any questions on it, then do let me know, because yeah, I'll hopefully be able to share my experience and let you know what I think about it. But overall, if you own one of these bikes, you've done well. You've done well, because they don't cost a lot and you get a lot of fun out of it, a lot of bike for the money. I mean, look at it around this little sweeping bend here, just in a village obviously, but it just wants to pilot around the bend. It's just, watch out for the undulations in the tarmac. But yeah, now I've got a little bit of time under my belt on this bike, I can kind of really enjoy it. It sucks to be in the UK though, with traffic and rain and potholes and stuff, because it's not you're not really getting the full use of the bike. You need a bank holiday Sunday, and you need to be up at 6 AM to get this kind of road condition in the UK. But if you do find this kind of road condition, look at it. It just wants to flow around the bend like water. It's amazing. Really, really amazing. It's not about the out and out speed, of course. I was trying to end the video back there. I just got carried away again. But I am really, really enjoying it. Again, I don't know all like brakes, suspension, fuel tank capacity. You can look all that up, but as far as what this bike's actually like, it's brilliant. It's really, really good. Whoa, so light, it stops so well. I commend everyone on that Facebook, what was it called, Triumph 400X Speed 400 Scrambler, blah blah blah. All those people who bought this bike and took a chance and pre-ordered it without riding it, they've done well. They've done well, because it's just great. Really, really, they've done well. So congratulations if you own one of these bikes. I am a little bit jealous. I do love my BSA, but I think you've ordered a brilliant bike, and hats off to you, hats off to Triumph, and good luck to the dealers who are selling them like hotcakes and making money, because dealers have had a rough time over the last few years, so good for them as well. Alright guys, well I did try and end the video, but I was having too much fun. I'll try it again, and I will end the video here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
Myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this